Hey there, welcome back. Kyle Green here. Now that we understand tablature, that will help us a lot along the way, but we need to understand chord diagrams, and for that matter, what chords even are. As guitar players, it's one of the things that we do the most. We play chords. Chords are harmonies that are three or more notes played at the same time. I should say three or more different notes played at the same time. The guitar is a unique instrument, and in that we can play harmonically. We can play up to 6 different notes at the same time. And we can also play single note melodies. This is true for the piano and some other instruments, but instruments like the flute or the saxophone, the trumpet, often they can only play one note at a time. So we have a unique instrument here, and it is, in fact, what we're often called to do, to play chords. So what is a chord? A chord, by definition, is the harmonic combination of 3 or more different notes played at the same time. Okay, so if we just have 2 notes being played at the same time, it doesn't qualify quite as a chord. In Western music, we use something called tertian harmony, and those are notes that are put together with the relationship of a third, and we often hear these referred to as triads, or probably more commonly, major and minor chords. All that other jargon we'll get into later, but it's just so if you hear it, you have a clue. So in learning about chords and how to play them on the guitar, we have to understand chord diagrams. Now, these do appear in many shapes and sizes, so to speak. Sometimes there's a difference between the West Coast and East Coast school of guitar teaching, in addition to with the invention of the internet and the spreading of guitar knowledge that way. There's all sorts of ways this gets notated. So we're going to go with probably the most common, and that's a representation of the kind of top or the headstock first few frets area of the guitar. If you look at the diagram we have here, you'll see the nut is represented by the dark line up at the top. And then we have, and these are going to be horizontal lines. Now you'll notice the diagram itself is oriented vertically, but that's representing the guitar, which when we're holding it, of course, is horizontal. So we have horizontally represented here the nut, that's the top line in the diagram. And then we have the horizontal thinner lines below that are called the frets. Then we have the vertical lines. To the far left, we have the 6th string. To the far right, we have the 1st string. There are dots placed on the strings to indicate where fingers should be placed. The numbers inside the dots correspond to the fingers that will be used. Above the diagram, X's will be placed over strings that are to be omitted, and circles or zeros will be placed above strings that are included even though you're not fretting them. For example, we're going to start here with a couple of very basic chords, a C major chord and a G major chord. All right, first we're going to look at a small C chord. This is a small version of a normal C, but it's the perfect place to start. If we look at the chord diagram, we can see that there is one dot on the fretboard here. This is on the 2nd string, 1st fret. So we go, okay, 1st string, that's the thinnest, and then 2nd right above that, okay, and it's in the 1st fret. That's the fret immediately after the nut there. And we can see inside that dot there is the number 1. This indicates that we're going to use our 1st finger. That's the index. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, pinky is 4th. So we place that 1st finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. That's the only note we are holding. But if we look above the diagram, you will see that there are circles or zeros above the 3rd string and the 1st string. So those 2 strings are included. Remember, the circles just mean that though you're not fretting it, it's still included in the chord. The X's above the 6th, 5th, and 4th string indicate that those strings are not included. So we're going to go ahead and make sure those are left out of the chord. We do not strum those. So we should have the 3rd string open. Go ahead and check that note. We should have the 2nd string 1st fret. Check that note. And then the 1st string open. Check that note. Okay, remember when we're fretting, try to keep that finger towards the front of the fret, not back here. It's harder to make the note sound. You want to be on the tip of the finger And make sure you've got good pressure. And of course, a good curve in your finger. If you're hearing something like this on the second string, check those things. Make sure you're right on the tip of the finger, getting good pressure. That note should ring out clear. If on the first string you're getting something like this, that could be that your curve of your finger is not enough and the bottom side of your first finger is muting that first string. So make sure you have a good curve there. Now when you strum this, we're going to strum down. Those are the strums that we're working with so far. And we just place the pick at the third string. Remember the lower strings are excluded. And we move in a downward motion through all three strings here, trying to make all the notes sound more or less at the same time. Okay, we want to avoid things like this. This can be useful later, but a real strum is just going to go straight through the strings. Okay, so that is the small C chord. Now we're going to take a look at the small G chord, and I'll have the diagram there for you. Why don't you take a look at the diagram, see if you can figure out the chord without my guidance. So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can figure it out. And then once you think you've got it, hit play and confirm with the video. So go ahead and pause. All right. Hopefully you took that time to pause the video and you put your finger in the place where you believe the chord is. If you have, you should have the third finger, that's the ring finger, on the first string, that's the thinnest string, over at the third fret. Okay, that's the third fret away from the nut here. All right, and we can see that there's circles above the third and second strings, so those notes are also included, and the sixth, fifth, and fourth strings are muted. So this should be again from the third string up to the first string when we strum, and it should sound like this. Check all of your notes. If it's not coming through, check those key points. Make sure you're towards the front of the fret. Make sure you're on the tip of the finger, you have a good curve, and that you've got enough pressure. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get back into the C chord. You want to go through this several times so you condition your memory with these finger placements and correlation to the chord name. So remember the first finger on the second string, first fret, that chord is the C chord. Okay, so make sure you get that finger on the second string, first fret. That note actually that you're holding down there is a C note. We will learn that eventually. But for now, remember this is the C chord. Then we'll go back to the G chord. Again, that's the third finger on the first string, third fret. And as always, if this is moving a little too fast, all you need to do is pause the video, get your finger in place, hit play again, and continue with the video. And then we'll go back to C, again, first finger, second string, first fret, include the top three strings. Those are the thinnest three. And then we'll go back to that G chord. That's the third finger, first string, third fret, and top three strings. All right, so go ahead and practice this out of time, just freely associating the name of the chord with the finger placement so that you know this is a G chord and that you know this is a C chord. Play it as many times as you'd like until you've got that memorized and you can get back and forth between the chords relatively easily, because in the next video we're going to build on this and start playing it in time and maybe even play a little melody with it. So see you there.